Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. Today, we're going to be finishing up our new decks from the V-EB01 set. So we're going to be finishing that up with Megacolony. Real quick announcement: if you haven't watched the video I made a couple days ago about the updates to this channel, what will be happening in the future, with my second channel as well. But yeah, if you haven't watched the update video, go watch that. Go subscribe to the second channel. It's going to be awesome. Did a bunch of stuff for it yesterday, so I'm really excited about it. And yeah, just go subscribe if that would be something that you guys would be interested in. But if not, if you just like Cardfight and you're just subscribing to me for Cardfight, then you can just stay here as well too. I appreciate either or, both ways of support. So let's talk about the Megacolony deck. Get right into it. So it's going to be our Megacolony standard deck, so there's no G zone, as you guys can see. So it's pretty interesting because they came out with machining cards, and it seems like they're changing the trope of every previous archetype that there was. So machinings used to be able to like stun Vanguard and stuff like that, so or at least do something really cool with like stunning Vanguard or stunning all the rear guards, but it just seems like Megacolony doesn't stun anymore. They just focus on like something different, or they just have very generic skills, which is weird for me because I'm so used to Megacolony stunning, and that's how they get around their opponent. Like they stun their opponent's rear guards, and then I thought that they were going to be protect, so that you can basically protect PG their Vanguard while their Vanguard is attacking you because they have stunned rear guards. So, but it's not that way at all. But let's talk about that. It's basically a beatdown deck, in my opinion, that happens to be Protect. So we have our first grade 3, which is Machining Spark Hercules. This card has the Protect Imaginary Gift, and Megacolony has Protect in general, meaning that when you ride this grade 3 or any grade 3 with the Protect Imaginary Gift, you get a little imaginary gift to your hand that is from Protect, and the Protect Imaginary Gift basically allows you to PG when you play down to the guard circle and you discard a card. So that's pretty good, but obviously it's better in decks like OTT where you can get actual hand advantage, so that the cards that you're risking for PGing, like, it's not a big deal. Also, you can block other attacks more easily in OTT than like Megacolony or something like that, because Megacolony doesn't get as much hand advantage. So if you're fighting Kagero and something like Dragonic Waterfall, you're probably not going to have enough hand to efficiently block that card, like OTT would. And so let's talk about both of the skills. Both the skills are Vanguard only, so it's basically a card that's only good on Vanguard Circle. It has an activation Vanguard skill that's once per turn, cost Counterblast 2, choose 5 of your rear guards, stand them, and then they get plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. And then you choose all of your opponent's units, rest them, and they get minus 5,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So let's talk about this skill really quick. I think it's really good. It is Counterblast 2. However, if you hit often with Bloody Hercules, Bloody Hercules does let you countercharge on hit. So it can be reduced to Counterblast 1 by countercharging. But yeah, Machining Spark Hercules is really good just because not only do all your rear guards get 5k, and you stand them, which means that if you call Machining Stag Beetle out to the rear guard, and then you call 2 cards from your soul as rest, you can use Machining Spark Hercules skill and stand them immediately. They get plus 5,000, and then all your opponent's units get minus 5,000 until the next their next end phase. So basically, it goes even into their turn and affects their next turn because their attacks won't be as big. But it's also harder for them to guard your turn while you're doing that at the same time. So I think it's very good. It's kind of like Zeal, very similar to Zeal if that's something that you guys are familiar with from the premium format. Then it has a second activation skill that's once per turn. It says put a grade 2 or less rear guard into your soul. This unit gets plus 5,000 power for each of your opponent's rest units until the end of the turn. So because your Vanguard doesn't get power from the first ability, they gave a way for you to get power to your Vanguard, from your Vanguard skill. So a lot of times your opponent will have 4 or 5 rested units, including their Vanguard. And so you get 20 or 25k whenever you use the skill, which is really good because you end up attacking for 37 or 32 without a boost. Then we have 4 Machining Stag Beetle. This is our backup grade 3. We never really want to ride this card because it's kind of useless when we ride it. Even though it does the same thing as when it's on the Rearguard Circle, it just has an additional power bonus if it's on Vanguard Circle. But the skill is Vanguard Rearguard Circle. When you place this card from hand, call up the 2 cards from your soul as rest to the field. And then if this unit is on Vanguard Circle until the end of the turn, this unit gets the original power of all the units called by this effect. So let's say that you ride a grade 1, ride a grade 2, and then you ride a grade 3, and you ride Machining Stag Beetle. You can call out like a 9k, like one of your 9k grade 2s, and then one of your 8k grade 1s, and then it'll get 17k power, which is not bad, but like initially when you ride the grade 3, your opponent's probably not going to be threatened by that a lot. They're probably just going to no guard it because it's not that dangerous to them. It's much better to ride Machining Spark Hercules at all times and play Machining Stag Beetle on the Rearguard Circle just to get free pluses on the Rearguards. Then we have 2 Death Warden Antlion. This card's really good, but really heavily, like it has a heavy cost. Its skill is when it attacks, Soul Blast 1 grade 3 and choose 2 cards from your hand and discard it. Until the end of the battle, this unit gets plus 10,000 power and a critical, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from the guard circle to the hand. So something that I like doing against my opponent is combining this card with Phantom Black, because Phantom Black doesn't let you guard with normal units, and Death Warden Antlion doesn't let you guard with Sentinels. So that leaves it so that your opponent can only block you with triggers. Specifically crit triggers, front triggers, and heal triggers. Because the draw triggers are out of the question because they're probably running the Sentinel triggers, the PG draw triggers. So this blocks that, and this blocks every other unit that they can guard with grade 2, grade 1, etc. And if they're happening to be running like a PG that's like a normal unit, well, they're just out of luck there too. Not only can they not use Sentinels with this card, but they're just out of luck, super out of luck with Phantom Black as well. And then the attack is really big, so they have to have like enough 10Ks in their hand, enough like triggers in their hand to efficiently guard this, like the 15K crits or fronts like we were talking about, or the 20K heals. Yeah, that was our 10 grade 3s. So then going into our grade 2s, we also have 10 grade 2s. We have 4 Bloody Hercules. Bloody Hercules has a Rearguard skill and then another skill that's Vanguard and a Rearguard skill. The Rearguard skill is when it's placed, you can Soul Blast 1 and this unit gets plus 6,000 power until the end of the turn. So it can become a 15k base when you play it as long as you Soul Blast. I don't know how I feel about it just because Soul is kind of like useful in this deck. So I don't know how I feel about using the first skill, but I still do it when I play this card. Sometimes you just lose a card that you're just like, well, I need that later. So you really have to be careful about when you use it and when you don't. Then the second ability is Vanguard Rearguard skill. When its attack hits, countercharge 1 and choose one of your units, and it gets plus 6,000 power. So really you want to attack with this card first in your attack order of the turn so that you can hit with it and then give something else 6,000 power so that can benefit off of the attack. And you also get countercharge 1, so if you use Machining Spark Hercules that turn, Machining Spark Hercules was effectively counterboss 1 unless you hit with 2 Hercules, and then it was free. So that's really good. Then we have 4 Machining Mantis. Machining Mantis skill is Vanguard Rearguard Circle. When it is placed, you counterboss 1 and look at the top 6 cards from your deck. Search for 1 grade 3 card among them, reveal it, and shuffle your deck. Reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck, and this unit gets plus 6,000 power. So it can become 15k as well when it is placed, just like Bloody Hercules can. But it's way better because you counterboss 1, you don't lose anything, and then you can check like the top 6 cards, not top 5, for a grade 3, and we run 10 grade 3s, so you're most likely going to get it. So not only are you thinning your deck, but you're getting power, and you're adding a card to your hand that you might need. So that card's really good. Then we have 2 Nasty Smog finishing up the grade 2 lineup. It has 2 Rearguard only skills, which the first Rearguard skill is all of your opponent's units in the same column as this unit cannot intercept. So if you play it in the right column and across the board from you, your opponent has a grade 2, that unit cannot intercept. And then the continuous Rearguard circle, the other skill, is all your opponent's units in the back row in the same column as this unit cannot stand during the stand phase. So when your opponent goes to start their turn and they go stand and draw, if they have any boosters that's in the same line, same column vertically as this unit, then that unit cannot stand when it's in the back row. So beware of that and kind of strategically place Nasty Smog to put your opponent in rough spots or to make them at least attack into it. I've had so many people attack into this card, and I just don't really care about it. But other people care about it sometimes. So you can just play this strategically. Sometimes it can really waste an attack off of them, burn an attack that would have killed you or something like that. And just because your opponent thinks that you have the guard, but you might not sometimes. So yeah, just be very strategic when you play this card. Moving on to our grade 1s, we have 4 Machining Hornet. Machining Hornet's skill is actually really good. It's actually our preferred grade 1 ride because of its skill, being Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. So when an attack hits a Vanguard, when this unit attacked or boosted, basically it just has to participate in the attack, whether it's the attacker or the booster. When this card hits a Vanguard during the attack that it attacked or boosted, look at the top 6 cards from your deck, put up to 1 grade 3 in your hand by revealing it, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card into your hand and this unit's on the Rearguard Circle, then you put this unit into the Soul. So unlike Machining Mantis, it doesn't cost a counterblast, but also unlike Machining Mantis, if this card's on the Rearguard Circle, after using its skill, it has to shove itself to the Soul. Like, it can't just stay on the field like Mantis can. But Mantis is also once per place, basically. So the first time that you play it on the field, there's no way to bounce it and get it back and play it again. So basically, Hornet, you can use it every time it hits. And if it goes off, then you have to shove it to Soul. So it is like a once per turn thing when it's on the Rearguard Circle, or sorry, a once per place thing when it's on Rearguard Circle. But if it's on Vanguard Circle, then you can attack as many times as you want. If you and your opponent for some reason are playing the grade 1 game, you can just sit on Machining Hornet like for a while and just build up grade 3s in your hand, along with what you're dry checking, so you'll be plussing every turn. Also, it really helps you get to the grade 3 that you really want to get to, which is Spark Hercules. Then we have 4 Phantom Black. Like I said, this card pairs very well with Death Warden Antlion, but it can also just finish your opponent in key situations. The Rearguard skill is when it boosts, discard a card from your hand until the end of the battle. This unit gets plus 6,000 power, so it's a 14k booster while it's using its skill, and then your opponent cannot call normal units from hand to guard circle. This would have been way better back in the day when all the normal units were PGs and stuff like that, but now that we have draw trigger PGs, like unless you're using it with Death Warden Antlion in combination, it's not like a super good combo. So you really want to wait till you have both of those cards in your hand, which you probably will get a Phantom Black in your hand because we run 4, and then you'll probably get a Death Warden Antlion in your hand as well, just because of all the grade 3 search cards that we run. Moving on, we have 4 Spiteful Hopper. Spiteful Hopper just helps us refund our resources a little bit. Its Rearguard skill is when it's placed, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your other units to get plus 6,000 power, and then if we don't have a face-up card in our damage zone, then we can countercharge 1. I wish it said if our damage zone is 1 or less face-up, then we countercharge 1, because that would at least allow us to use Spark Hercules skill of Counterblast 2. But also, there's so many scenarios where you just have 1 open Counterblast, and you're like, I can't do anything with this. I can't use Spark Hercules, but at the same time, I can't use Spiteful Hopper to its fullest ability because I can't countercharge. So it puts you in a weird situation where sometimes you don't know what to do, but it is still a very good card because it has helped me out in some situations in the early game. Like, let's say you play a Mantis, you have 1 damage, you ride Mantis, you counterblast 1, you look at top 6 cards, you get a grade 3, and then you play Spiteful Hopper, you soul blast 1, and you countercharge. So very good in the early game. And then for our last grade 1, finishing out the grade 1 count, we have 1 Platoon Leader Butterfly Officer. So what this card does is when on the Rearguard circle, when it's placed, you can rest this unit, and then you choose one of your other Rearguards, and it gets 10,000 power. If you chose a card until the end of the turn, you put, at the end of the turn, you put the unit into your soul and you countercharge 1. So not only do you get to countercharge 1 from doing this card, I thought it was much more helpful than Spiteful Hopper. I thought it was much less useful than Spiteful Hopper because this card waits till the end of the turn to countercharge, and you have to put the unit into the soul. Whereas Spiteful Hopper, just as soon as you place it, allows you to countercharge 1 if you really need that countercharge 1. But we do run 1 of this because it can help us in those scenarios where we were talking about, where we have 1 counterblast and we need 2 to use Spark Hercules one more time, and we just use Butterfly Officer to get that extra countercharge. Moving on to our grade 0s, we have our starter, Machining Worker Ant. Just like any other starter in the game right now, when you ride upon it, you draw a card. pretty simplistic for standard. They haven't released any other starters that do anything different than this same effect, with different artworks for different clans. So not much to say about that. And then for our triggers, we run we actually run 4 crit, 8 draw, and 4 heal. So let's talk about why I decided to go this unusual route, because the usual route is 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. But I feel like this deck has a protect deck that has the protect imaginary gift. It doesn't get enough hand advantage, and then also you have effects like Death Ward and Antlion that allow you to discard 2 for its skill, and then like Phantom Black allows you to discard 1. So you don't want to be screwed over by using those skills in the small case that your opponent survives that. So I actually just run draw triggers, along with the fact that Spark Hercules like downs their opponent's Vanguard by 5,000 power. So a lot of times you don't really need the crits to like keep doing damage to your opponent. Like you're just gonna be able to beat stick your opponent just because of their low power and your high power. So I only run 4 crits because of that. I run 4 Shelter Beetle, 4 Larva Mutant Lava Draft for the draw trigger. We run 4 Paralyzed Madonna, the other draw. And then we run 4 Medical Battler Rapley as our heal trigger, which is the standard heal trigger. So yeah, that ended up being the deck. So let's get right into our practice games as usual. Alright. So we're loading up our replay, Megacolony 1. So we're playing against Spike Brothers for game 1. Our opponent goes first, they ride, they use the skill of Gyro. We attack, they guard. They use Wonder Boy's skill to get another one. We check a heal, and they check a heal, so they hit us. Unfortunately, we use Mantis skill to get grade 3, and then we use another Mantis to get another grade 3. And then we play Spiteful Hopper, Soul Blast, and Countercharge, like I said in the deck testing part. And then we attack our opponent G-Assist so that they can get a grade 2. They get Bracky, and they use Wonder Boy to call a new one. We no guard the Vanguard, we get a draw trigger, power to Vanguard, and we block the rear guard. So we ride, and then we call, we use the skill of our Vanguard to put a grade 2 in. Then we use the Machining Stag Beetle, get 2 cards out, and then Spark Hercules, etc. And so our opponent rides, attacks us for 23, we block it, and then he attacks our rear guard for 33, we no guard it. He checks nothing, uses the skill Soul Blast 2, retire 1 of my cards, and restand a card, and then he attacks my Vanguard with both rear guards. So then we re-ride Spark Hercules just to get another protect gift. Spark Hercules uses its skill, and then we call 2 cards out, and then we use Spark Hercules' skill to stand everything. We attack for 28, he gets another draw trigger, but we get a draw trigger as well, so that's good. But then he gets a heal, so I'm like, what the heck? But he doesn't actually get the heal off, so that's good. But he rides into Unite Attacker, Soul Blasting 7 to look at the top 5 cards of his deck, and call cards, and then he chooses 3 units in the front row, they get plus 5,000 power. And then he attacks me for 25, I block it with a heal. He uses the skill to draw, and then I perfect guard using the protect imaginary gift for his Vanguard. He checks double crit for the rear guard, and thank goodness I had another protect gift, or I would have been super dead. I mean, I had a PG in my hand too, but like, thank goodness he doesn't know about that PG, I should say, just because like we're able to use it in future turns and he doesn't really know. So we were able to check a crit during our turn, and we stacked it on Stag Beetle, and he just couldn't guard for 36 because he has 3 grade 3s in his hand and 1 10k and no interceptor. So the worst that the best that he could guard for was 28. So he'd only have been able to guard us if we did not check a trigger. I'm not very sure if we would have been able to block his next turn, but I assume that we would have, just because we had a PG in the hand, and we had some 10k, or we had some 15k blocks in the form of the crits in our hand. So it probably would have went well for us either way. Why am I typing in standard? Loading up Megacolony game 2. We're playing in Spike Brothers again. Like I said in my previous future fights for this set, like everyone and their moms is playing Spike Brothers online. So our opponent actually like rushes us with like the perfect rush, and gets a crit as well. So we eat 4 damage while we're on grade 2. So we actually used the counter blast to try to get us a grade 3. We don't have Spark right now, which is what we want to have. So it kind of sucks, but we do get a draw trigger, draw a card, and then we attack, put them at 3 damage as well. They ride General Siegfried, and at this point I was pretty scared actually, because I'm actually already at 4 damage, and like it's right when he rode to grade 3, so I'm just like, this is kind of dangerous, like, you know, whatever. But our opponent attacks us for 48, we check a heal, so that was great, and then we were able to 2 to pass his Vanguard by throwing down a 10 and then take the rear guard. So we actually have to ride the lesser grade 3 Machining Stag Beetle. We get 2 cards off of it. Then we call Machining Mantis Get a Spark. With its skill, we attack for 15, and then we attack with our Vanguard, and our rear guard is just 9, so can't hit anything, so we just pass turn. He rides the General Siegfried again, or sorry, he uses Bracky main phase skill first, so I don't allow him to re-ride the Siegfried, because he tried to do that after using Bracky's main phase skill, so I told him that he skipped ride phase. So one of those force markers is just not there, essentially, and he added the power accordingly. But we do check a 5th damage heal again, allowing us to make it through the turns and no guard the rear guard again, and then we get a draw trigger. So we rerode Spark Hercules here. We call the Death Antlion Phantom Black combo, and then we make sure that all of his units get minus 5k because of Machining Spark Hercules. And then we attack him with the rear guard for 25. We attack him for 50 with our Vanguard, and we check a crit on our Vanguard, so he has to check 2, or he has to check a 6 damage heal, and he just doesn't. And I think he would have died to this card anyways, because looking at his hand, he would not be able to guard with the Spike Bouncer. He would have been able to intercept, and if he guarded with these 2, if he had happened to block Vanguard somehow, and he had this exact hand, he would have been able to guard for, let's see, he would have checked the heal trigger, so he would have been 18 because of like me making the power go down, so 18, 38, and then 43, and then 48, and then Death Warden Antlion would have been attacking for it looks like 40 plus 10, so yeah, 50. So he still couldn't guard Death Warden Antlion, and that card would have had a crit. So even if he the only way that he could have lived probably is if he checked a trigger and then a heal trigger as his 6 damage heal. So yeah, pretty strong that combo is. I sound like Yoda. Strong that combo is, but yeah, that combo is really strong. Definitely beware of that if your opponent's playing Megacolony. That combo can really hurt if they have it. And then for the 3rd game, we're playing against Nova Grappler. We ride, they attack us, they check Queen of Heart, which I actually haven't seen that card or read that card's skill before. I didn't even read it this time in this match because I don't think it came up. But our opponent rides, attacks us, we guard, and then our opponent checks the heal trigger, so thankfully we blocked it, because otherwise I would have been so mad that I was going to 2 damage and he was going to 0. So we attacked a lot, and he just blocks a lot of our attacks. He uses the skill on Battle Door to go to himself, just to make us take a damage, and then he attacks for 32. We take it again gladly, getting a draw trigger. We use the skill of Vanguard to shove a card into the soul. Then we use Spark Hercules to have everything get 5k, and then we use Spiteful Hopper to be able to countercharge 1. So then we attack for 30. We attack the Vanguard, no triggers, and then we attack for 28. He rerides the Shura Kaiser, plays some cards. He attacks us, we heal at one point. We no guard his Vanguard with a 1 to pass. He doesn't get it. And then he attacks our rear guard. And then we block the other rear guard. So we reride Spark Hercules to get another Protect gift. Then we play the Death Warden Antlion combo because we have it in our hand. And then we use the skill of Spark Hercules to have all of our units get plus 5,000 power, and his units get minus 5. So he no guards our Vanguard, we get a draw trigger. He does heal, and then we use Death Warden Antlion skill to attack for super big, like 60. And he has a bunch of normal units in his hand. He can only guard with grade 0s, literally. So he only has a draw trigger in his hand, and so he just loses because the combo's too strong. So yeah, that has been game 3. So that has been our Megacolony FutureFight Vanguard video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up on the video. It helps a lot more than you guys think. Also be sure, like I said at the beginning of the video, to go check out the second channel, the update video a couple videos back. Also, if you want to stay updated with this channel and support it as well, you can subscribe to the channel and then click the bell button next to the subscription button, so it gives you notifications every time one of our videos goes live. You can check out our social medias in the description down below, which are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you want to support the channel a little more than liking and subscribing, then you can check out our Patreon and our merch store. Our Patreon has contests and all this kind of cool stuff for supporting the channel. And it has like a premium Discord that you can join and all that stuff just for like Cardfight Empire supporters and stuff like that, or just for Patreon Cardfight Empire supporters. And yeah, the merch store just has a bunch of Cardfight Empire merchandise that you can get if you are interested in that. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace, guys.